Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel Echo of Life. Let's start. Have you ever realized that some of the gentlest, warmest people you know are also carrying the heaviest emotional loads? They're the ones who say yes before you finish asking, the ones who show up even on days they're barely holding themselves together. But if you look closely, really look, you notice the tiredness behind the smile. A softness shaped not only by kindness but by wounds they never talk about. We like to think of kindness as simple, clean, and always good. We tell children to be kind, we praise leaders who show compassion, and we measure humanity by how generous someone is. Yet kindness has a shadow side, one we rarely acknowledge. And when that shadow is ignored, kindness can slowly become harmful, especially to the person giving it. It usually begins in childhood. A kid learns that being agreeable earns them affection. They discover that swallowing their own needs makes adults happier. Being helpful becomes their survival strategy. As they grow older, the pattern sinks deeper. They aren't just kind, they become the dependable one. The one who never says no, never complains, never burdens anyone with their own problems. But the truth is this: kindness rooted in fear of rejection, fear of disappointing others, isn't kindness. It's a disguise. And disguises, when worn for too long, suffocate the real self underneath. Think about the people who always give more than they receive. They'll stay up late comforting someone, skip rest to help a friend, offer money they can't spare. From the outside, it seems noble, but anyone who lives that way knows there's a quiet ache running beneath the surface. A whisper asking, "When is it my turn?" That whisper almost never gets voiced because people who give endlessly feel guilty taking anything back. Psychologists even have a name for this: compassion fatigue, the emotional burnout that happens when someone pours out empathy faster than they can refill it. It shows up not only in caregivers and nurses, but in everyday people who constantly choose others over themselves. Research shows that chronic self-sacrifice increases anxiety, depression, and physical stress. Kindness without balance becomes a slow form of self-erasing, like watering every plant in the garden except your own. Eventually, the gardener collapses. But here's the unsettling part. Sometimes kindness becomes its own trap. Not because someone is faking kindness to gain something, but because others start relying on them always being the nice one. People assume you'll adjust, you'll bend, you'll carry the extra weight. Before long, the kind person unintentionally trains everyone around them to overlook their needs. And the kinder they are, the more invisible they become. Invisibility isn't peace. It's loneliness dressed up as politeness. Real kindness is beautiful, but kindness that grows from emptiness, fear, or obligation slowly corrodes the soul. A study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who can't say no are far more likely to burn out. Another study from Berkeley showed that altruism improves well-being only when it is voluntary. When it's driven by guilt or fear, it has the opposite effect, raising stress and lowering happiness. And yet so many kind people get caught in this pattern. They don't want to disappoint anyone. They don't want to appear selfish. They don't want to lose connection. So they keep giving until there's nothing left. And when they finally break, all the emotions they've been swallowing, anger, hurt, frustration, spill out in ways they can't control. A sharp tone, passive-aggressive comment, an emotional outburst years in the making. We assume kindness protects us from dark emotions, but actually, kindness without honesty turns those emotions toxic. Anytime you say yes while your heart is screaming no, you're abandoning yourself. And self-abandonment always has consequences. Why do kind people struggle so much with boundaries? Because many grew up learning that being helpful equals being lovable, that keeping the peace is safer than expressing needs, that being good means being quiet, flexible, accommodating. Adults who experienced conditional affection as children often confuse people-pleasing with kindness. But true kindness includes the self. If kindness destroys your well-being, it isn't kindness. It's self-neglect disguised as virtue. Science backs this up. Our brains run on mirror neurons, which are responsible for empathy. They activate when we witness others' pain. But the brain can't tell the difference between healthy empathy and self-destructive empathy. If you're constantly absorbing everyone's stress without boundaries, your nervous system eventually crashes. Humans aren't built for endless giving, we're built for balanced connection. So the dark side of kindness isn't that kindness is wrong. It's that when kindness is shaped by fear or past wounds, it becomes something that drains instead of heals. What once felt like a strength begins tearing you apart. If you felt the exhaustion, the quiet resentment, the sense of being unseen even while being praised for your goodness, you're not alone. You're not broken. You're simply experiencing the natural consequences of a world that teaches giving but not boundaries. So how do we change this? How do we stay compassionate without losing ourselves? It starts with one truth. Kindness must begin with you. Not in a selfish way, but in the same way airplane safety instructions tell you to put on your oxygen mask first. If you're gasping for air, you can't save anyone else. That's where boundaries come in. For many kind people, boundaries feel scary. It feels like letting someone down. It feels like shutting people out. But boundaries are honesty, pure, necessary honesty. They say, this is what I can give, and just as importantly, this is what I can't. Healthy boundaries build healthier relationships. People learn to trust your yes because they know it isn't forced. And research shows that those who set boundaries actually form deeper, more fulfilling connections. But growing into this version of kindness requires changing deeply rooted beliefs. You must learn that your worth isn't measured by how much you give. Your value exists even when you're resting, even when you're saying no, even when you're caring for your own needs. Sometimes setting boundaries means losing people. Some will push back when you stop overextending yourself. Some liked the version of you who never asked for anything. But losing relationships that depended on your self-abandonment isn't a loss. It's liberation. There's a term called pathological altruism, when helping others becomes harmful for both sides. Giving so much that you break. Rescuing so much that the other person never learns to stand. It looks like kindness, but it's actually damaging. And it's fueled by the myth of the good person. The idea that goodness means silence, compliance, endless giving. But real goodness isn't the absence of needs. Real goodness is compassion rooted in authenticity, not self-erasure. So what does healing kindness look like? It looks like pausing before saying yes. Asking yourself whether you have the energy, the desire, the capacity. It looks like learning gentle no's. I care about you, but I can't take that on right now. No. It looks like remembering that your worth isn't determined by how much you carry. It looks like tending to your own emotional garden. Rest, creativity, companionship that nourishes you. And it looks like allowing yourself to feel anger, disappointment, and exhaustion instead of burying them under a smile. Those emotions are signals, not flaws. For many, kindness has been a lifelong mask. A mask worn to hide exhaustion, avoid conflict, or earn love. But masks are heavy. The real work is taking off that mask and letting your kindness come from your true self. Not the fearful, overextended version trying to keep everyone happy. There's a saying, if you want to know who you really are, watch how you treat yourself when no one else is around. That's where genuine kindness begins. Not in the applause of others, but in the quiet choices you make for your own well-being. When you treat yourself with compassion, your kindness toward others becomes stronger, not weaker. It comes from fullness instead of depletion. It inspires others instead of draining you. Maybe that's the lesson kindness has been trying to teach us all along. Kindness that excludes the self becomes a burden. Kindness that includes the self becomes a blessing. So the next time someone says, "You're so kind," ask yourself, is your kindness fueled by freedom or fear? By abundance or exhaustion? By the real you or by the mask? Because at the heart of every kind person, the real monster isn't anger or boundaries. It's the habit of abandoning themselves. And when you finally stop abandoning yourself, something beautiful happens. Your kindness doesn't fade. It grows brighter, healthier, more powerful. It becomes a kindness that sustains not only the people around you, but you as well. And that is the kind of kindness the world truly needs. Thank you for watching my videos. Please subscribe my channel for more update.